Hello, BookTube. I've got a little bit of mail for you today on an overcast but lovely and temperate day here on the start of the weekend, on which I exercised surgical insight into the various weather apps that I have downloaded and that I obsessively look at all the time. I love studying the weather. It is so blissfully unopinionated, and it's fun when you divorce yourself from simply listening to weather forecasters. I've listened to them my whole life. Some of them are very, very talented and also very entertaining. The people you definitely trust. But it's a lot of fun to divorce yourself from them and instead get the material yourself, the raw material yourself, and look at it. There are apps that get into extremely fine-grained detail. And try and figure out what your own weather is going to be like right where you are every step of a day out or 2 days out. That's a lot of fun to do. And I think the more you do it, the better you get at it. And I predicted today, I was studying that data today while I was avoiding finishing up a deadline. I did finish up a deadline, but I was also doing that. And I thought the morning and the early afternoon, the very early afternoon, are going to be blazing sunlight. They're going to be beautiful. But I think a low deck of sky-obscuring clouds are coming in after that. I timed it almost to the half hour and judged my walk with the bean accordingly, and I was completely right. There is no direct sunlight now. There is no warm, buttery yellow sunlight now, but there was when we were out and about. But what do we have here? We have some periodicals and a couple of packages. Low fare for a Saturday. It's entirely possible that more mail will come later today, very late today, that we'll just do tomorrow. But right now I have 3 periodicals and 2 packages. The first periodical is a square-bound science fiction magazine, analog. This is the May-June analog. I confess I'm a little bit behind on analog and Asimov's because the last issue that I read, the issue that is actually still has a bookmark in it in the bathroom. I haven't finished it. I was reading along, and I was with any anthology, you take what you get. I read these things like a book. I read them front to back. I don't go by length. I don't go by author. I just go from front to back. And as I've mentioned many times before, in every issue, you will find something that is just fantastic, just stand out fantastic. But you find a lot of stuff that isn't. And occasionally, you find something that is Twitterized, that is soaked in Twitter politics. I shared one of those things with you many, many, many videos ago. I talked about a short story that got into the pages of Analog or Asimov that just routinely says all white people are racist. No one, the editor, the author, no one thought anything of it. Just a monstrous, monstrous thing to say, and it just got in the story. And things like that are there specifically to get that kind of reaction. That's why the author does it. The people who like to parade those kinds of sentiments don't have any beliefs of any kind, much less those. And I was reading along. I don't remember even what it was right now, Analog or Asimov. It was the last month's issue, whatever it was. I came across a story, fairly standard setup, a two-man scientific team surveying a planet with the help of a telemetry droid, and they're in the atmosphere of a planet. It's mostly a howling gas giant. They don't ever get to go down to the surface. They have to figure out, they're navigating the upper atmosphere of this planet. And I started the story and thought, all right, well, the thinking here isn't all that good. The idea smithing isn't all that good. The prose certainly isn't all that good. So there must be a reason for this. And this is the kind of thing that I do when I'm reading nowadays with a guard up. I thought, all right, well, so I kind of know what the thing is here. I kind of know why this story was written. It's the 2 men are going to start to shag. That you have sort of a socio-political reason for writing this science fiction story and are just draping it in science fiction accoutrement like telemetry and wind funnels and whatnot. And I remember even thinking when I started that, well, that's kind of odd, isn't it, that you would do that, since literally nobody except the crowd at the Trump rallies has any problem with 2 men having a relationship. No, the author was gunning for me. The author's gunning for an irate letter in the column of the next issue because one of the men starts shagging the droid. And there's no reason or rationale to it. The droid has no personality. The droid is not built for that sort of thing. It's only meant to spark outrage in readers. That's all it's meant to do. And artlessly. So, and I confess, I sort of ran aground on that story. I didn't progress. I didn't finish that story. I didn't progress in the rest of the issue. I didn't do what a normal person would do, which is just skip it. Just say, all right, well, this is dumb. And for a lot of angering, predictable political reasons, just skip it and go on to the next story, which won't be dumb. And I haven't done that. I haven't done any of that. So this is actually going to go on a pile, which I don't like. I don't like having periodicals up on piles at all. The next thing we got is GQ, the big blazing cover, the best rapper alive. I happened to ask my surly houseboy if he recognizes this person. I have no idea who this person is. And he said a name. My ancient octogenarian mind is saying Hedy Lamarr, but I don't think it was Hedy Lamarr. It was something else. It was something close to that. But I went to the article. I confess, I haven't read the article yet. It does a long profile about this person, whoever he is. I'm glad that he's famous. But instead, we get a photo spread and then a whole bunch of prose that I haven't read yet. But in the middle of the prose, running down the middle of the prose, is a breakdown of what he's wearing. And I couldn't help but notice, where is it? My eye shot right to the necklace that he's wearing. That necklace right there will cost you $225,000. $225,000 will get that for you in a little paper bag with a printed receipt at a shop. What is the shop? Boucherer Fine Jewelry. It better be fine. Yeah, for that. It better be fine. But there was something else here too, as long as we're looking at the absurdities of this thing here. Of course, GQ is a square-bound lad mag, so they're the last places on Earth where you get full-color advertisements for deadly devices, for deadly tobacco products. The one for this chewing tobacco says, this product can cause gum disease and tooth loss. And I imagine that fairly innocuous wording is the result of probably hundreds of millions of dollars in political money, because this product does. Just to change one word from does to can. This product does cause, not gum disease, but gum cancer. And it does cause tooth loss. You'll be able to wobble your whole bottom jaw after no more than a month of using it. So it's not that it can. It does. It does cause those things. And there was probably a huge battle to change that does into a can. There's no evidence that it only can. There are no examples where it doesn't. But anyway, the other thing that I noticed here is there's a whole article here on, what are they called? Slings. Slings are those little things that they're tiny. They're not shoulder bags. They're not satchels. They're not backpacks, God forbid. They're also not wallets. They're tiny little things that are meant to hang below a nipple. I don't know what they're supposed to hold. Most of them are too small or too delicate to hold your phone. And there's a whole article here on the latest and best of them all. And one of them, it says here, it's called a board bag. If you have any doubts left about skateboarding's once again ascendant influence on fashion, let this lavish Hermès shoulder bag with a shrunken skate deck as its base kickflip them to the curb. $8,600 for this thing. For this thing. It says a shrunken skate deck as its base. That just means it has a flat base. That means it's got a piece of cardboard and there's a flat base at the bottom. $8,600. $8,600. Also, this rap star, okay, there's Joshua Stradowski again looking dreamy on the sand there in a cashmere sweater that cost $1,400. But there was also a jacket in here at the beginning that really caught my eye. Let me see if I can quickly find it, since we don't want to be waving around in this thing if we don't have to be. Or was it in the article about the rapper? It might have been in the article about the rapper. Let's just switch straight to that article and see, because there's something I wanted to show you here that is just remarkable, utterly remarkable. No, I can't find it. Somewhere in the bowels of this magazine. Oh no, it's right there on the cover. This pea coat that he's wearing. See, it's a full length pea coat. You've got the buttons on the side there. They aren't meant to be functional. They're meant to take the place of buttons that you lose. But I don't know if you can make out the details here, but this is not a typical pea coat like you would get at your Army Naval Surplus store. This is really poorly made by slaves in China. It's single stitch. It doesn't have a lining. It's really stiff and uncomfortable, and it won't flex. What's going to happen, because it's single stitch all throughout, is that the minute you brush against it, it's going to start breaking apart. And it costs $8,000. This pea coat costs $8,000. Not $18 at your Army Navy surplus store for the real deal, but $8,000. So that was the other magazine. I confess I didn't do much reading in this issue. And then the other magazine was our old friend, Architectural Digest. There's the cover there. Doesn't that look comfy? Look at how comfortable she looks. And I go through these issues looking for something, anything, that denotes that a human being lives in the place that's being described. And I didn't see any examples of that in this issue, none at all. But I did see something. There's a trend that runs all throughout here. I want to show you a few examples of it, because I'm assuming if it's the only thing I saw all throughout here, that it must be the trend in, literally money to burn upper 1% of 1% of the world, which is what's represented in this magazine. There's a trend that I saw all throughout. I'm gonna find you a few examples here, but they're all through the magazine. Like, for instance, the front half of Architectural Digest is a few columns like discoveries and lots of high-paid ads. And then the back half are home profiles of one kind or another. So we can go through both. That is a living room in the discovery section, which is just one of the features at the front. Notice something about that couch? Take a look at that couch. Notice how wide the seat is? If you were to sit on this couch as a normal-sized adult, if you were to sit on this couch and lean back against those cushions, your feet below the knees, your knees would not reach the end there, so your feet would be sticking out straight like a little kid. So I guess this is meant to be a couch for sleeping, maybe having a guest on, so that it's the size and flatness of a bed. But it absolutely cannot be used as a couch, where your feet are going to be on the ground while your back is against the cushions. That anatomically can't happen unless you're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I saw that and thought, well, that's... I saw that and thought, oh, that's really odd. Then I saw this ad. This is for a gigantic loft on Marlborough Street here in Boston. I recognize, just looking out these windows, I know exactly where this building is. I know exactly where these doors are. I lament what was done to this room. This, once upon a time, was 2 rooms. What are you supposed to do in all this space? What are you supposed to do in a room this big? So you're standing here, someone's over here on their phone, they say, you want to go out for pizza. And over here you're saying, what? Huh? What are you supposed to do in a room this big other than have a dance competition? Something like that. But notice, same thing. The couch is misproportioned for a human being. If you sit all the way back with your back on there, first of all, it'll only come up to about your shoulder blades. And your legs will be sticking out like little legs, like the legs of a little kid. Because this is too far a space for you to bend your knee down. But I saw that and I thought, well, isn't that odd that occurred, in a column and in an ad? But look too bad. It wasn't just a column and an ad. Almost literally every single time I came across a couch in this issue, that's what it looked like, which leads me to think that it's some sort of new fad. Let's get another example here, although they're all over the place in this issue. Yeah, here we go. Well, okay, you can't really make it out there because the couch is to your back. God almighty, though, these places look so hideous. All right, here's a living room. Look at those couches. Look at how far back that cushion is. Not the throw pillow, but the cushion. Look at how far back it is from the edge of the couch. Same thing over here. How are you supposed to sit on something like that? How are you supposed to sit there? And look at how horrifying this room is. First of all, the kitchen is over here. There's a bar over here. There's a dining room over here. This is the living room. God knows how much further you come like this with no compartmentalization whatsoever. Just this gigantic football field of a space. And there are the books. 1, 2, 3, 4. Neatly arranged. Not a hint of anything else that looks alive there. Not a hint. And what do you, when you're in this open barn space waiting for your quarterback to call the play, I guess, downfield, what do you do when cobwebs start to develop between these beams? It's a practical question that doesn't come up because, of course, you hire people to scream at who don't speak English as a native language to get up on rickety ladders and clean those. And if they happen to fall and die, well, there's plenty more where they came from. That's what you do. That's not what you or I do because we don't have a space like this. I confess, I don't know who this person is, Casey Musgraves. All I know about her is that, what is the quote here? There was a hilarious quote. I wanted a place that felt like me, where I could express myself. If that room expresses yourself, you are a psychopath. I don't know what. I can't identify any of the things in that room. But it's not meant for living. It's not meant for a person to live in and enjoy. So that is really bad. But it's not the only example that I want to give here. I want to show you that my trend spotting was correct. We go to a renovated space, for instance, in Mexico City. That is weird on its own right. I mean, apart from the weird couches, look at what they did to the master bedroom. That is the master bedroom. This is the door to the master bedroom right here. You open this door, you get a table with a plant and some tchotchkes and whatnot, and the back of the bed. The headboard of the bed has its back to the door that you open to go in. And your feet are sticking out the window. These are the pillows right here. What on earth? Who would set anything up this way? That is so weird. How could you ever in a million years get comfortable in a setup like that? Not in a million years. But I want, before we depart here, I want to show you just one more example of these weird torture chamber couches. Because there was another one. There's a house in the Bahamas. The outside looks really nice, but okay, here we go. Try if you can to look past the wicker torture devices. Try if you can. Would you want to sit in this thing? Look at that couch. Look at how wide that is. That is the backdrop of the couch. First of all, it's at your lumbar region, so you can't possibly lean against it. You absolutely need the accent pillows, which you're not supposed to need. That right, throw pillows are not supposed to be load-bearing. They're not supposed to be structural. You're not supposed to need them in order to make a piece of furniture usable. This won't work without them. So if you pile them up so that you have back support, it still doesn't matter because your feet are flying out onto this big wooden coffee table. You can't bend them right here. That's a good 4.5 feet. That's just went all throughout this issue of AD. I don't know why. I mean, there was lots of other stuff going on in this issue, but I kept noticing those weird Savonarola chairs, like couches. Just made me appreciate all the more my battered old fainting couch here that at least is built for human anatomy. But anyway, then we have packages. We have a couple of packages. The Bean has become despondent because the sun has gone away. She's now wondering if maybe rain is going to show up. And you know, on the radar, it looks like rain is coming to Boston for the next 3 hours. It looks like it's absolutely unavoidable, an absolute bullseye strike. But there is no rain in any of the actual forecasting apps that I have. So I don't know what to make about that. Okay, great. All right, this is not an April finished copy, but this is a finished copy in a way. This is a romance novel, one of these weird square Kindle-shaped romance novels. This is by Donna Grant, who I love, and this is That Cowboy of Mine. There he is against a backdrop of stars. No ranch, no horses, no nothing. Very, very unusual cover art there. He's just standing there in the desert. What does it say? Danger and passion collide. Well, it gets mighty cold in the desert. You're going to need a coat. But, let's see what we have here. Dylan Young is proud that she inherited her aunt's ranch. The problem, someone is trying to run her off and is willing to do whatever it takes. Strange, dangerous things keep happening. Dylan suspects her no-good neighbor and fellow wealthy rancher, Hank Stevens. Never a man to get his hands dirty, he sends others to get the job done. So when the irresistible Cal Bennett is found passed out drunk on her property, Dylan is on high alert. until someone takes a shot at her and Cal springs to her rescue. When the hard-bodied, no-nonsense talking cowboy points out that she may need some help, Dylan is inclined to reluctantly agree. All right, well, this I'll read tonight. That Cowboy of Mine comes out on for $9 at the end of April. In this format that I confess I don't like. I mean, I've had a lot of books like this now. I think romances are all turning towards this, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. I'm pretty sure that the meeting somewhere in New York City that said, why do you want to do this? Why on earth would you want to do this when it's too wide for the hand and it's not really comfortable to hold and open and turn pages? You certainly can't do it with one hand when it's this size. I'm pretty sure that the rationale at that meeting in New York was, well, it's the shape of a Kindle. And Kindles are really hot these days. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that entirely. I just find it too coincidental. And I don't like this shape. But I do like contemporary cowboy romances, thanks to Sarah at the Bookish Knitter, so I will dive right in. And then we have this last package, and then we're done with the mail for today. What is this? Okay, this... let's see here. This is something called Reward System. It's a collection of stories by someone named Jem Calder. Has the requisite incredibly hideous American cover. I can only hope that the cover design in any other country in the world would be better than this. But not in America, no. Oh, and it has a blurb from Sally Rooney. Let's hear what herself, the High Queen of the Universe, has to say. Reward System is an exhilarating and beautiful book by an extraordinarily gifted writer. Reading these stories, I found myself thinking newly and differently about contemporary life. Here's hoping it's reflected in your crappy books. Anyway, dear reader, I'm delighted to share an early copy of Jem Calder's richly imagined debut. Oh, so this is Jem Calder's debut collection of short stories. Terrible shame about the cover. But that's great. That's fantastic. This short story collection coalesces around a former couple. Julia and Nick dated in undergraduate. Now, like many of their generation, they are groping toward financial security in an overpriced city and intimacy in a world increasingly mediated by technology. Conundrums that Calder explores with surprising, poignant takes. Okay. All right. If I go to Jed Calder's social media and go back 4 or 5, 6 or 7 months, am I going to find that Jed Calder had a significant other whose name rhymes with Nick, but that they aren't together anymore? Am I going to find that? I'd rather not find that. The novella-length opening story introduces us to Julia as she develops a relationship with her manager at an up-and-coming restaurant. Nick brings us along to a party in first-person narration. He's drinking too much, flirting with unconsciousness, but even in this primitive state, he compares himself to his peers and worries about how to answer the question, what do you do? Do you get that question a lot? I don't socialize anymore. But does that question, is that still the absolutely automatic thing that people ask, what do you do? Interspersed throughout this memorable collection are stories about the alienated spaces of dating apps and cubicle life. In one story, we follow the romantic liaison between a male user and a female user of a dating app. In another, a man surveils his co-worker's computer usage at a marketing firm. Playing with the language and quantification and bureaucracy, Calder offsets his own champagne prose and his remarkable gift for expressing human feeling. Playing with the language of quantification and bureaucracy, Calder offsets his own champagne prose and his remarkable gift for expressing human feeling. Why would you do that? Why would you want to offset? If you had such a Ponzi thing as champagne prose, why would you want to offset it? With anything. Offset here means dilute. Why would you want to do that? Reward System is a joy to read, a set of fresh fictions about work, relationship, and the strange loop of technology and self. Authors such as Sally Rooney, who published Calder's first short story in The Stinging Fly, recognize him as one of the most exciting writers on contemporary experience. Okay, well, I'm all on board, as you all know, right? I'm all on board with debut fiction of any kind. No matter how predictable it might sound, the pub sheet might make it sound, I'm all on board with it. I love the fresh fallen snow sense of infinite possibilities. I love sniffing through a debut work with unanswerable questions. Some of the questions you can answer right away, like, for instance, I won't need many pages to find out whether or not I am, in fact, in the presence of champagne prose. But some questions I won't be able to answer. I'll be reading through the thing and I'll be thinking, okay, short stories help a lot with this because I'll be reading through and I'll be thinking, okay, that looks like a preoccupation. Is that a preoccupation of yours? There's absolutely nothing wrong with authors having preoccupations. Thematic, subject, predicament, preoccupations. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with them going back to it over and over again. I don't mind that at all. How can I love Anthony Trollope and hate that? But I do want to know, and there's no way to know. A short story collection might make it a little easier, but there's no real way to know until you've got another work under your belt by the author. Same thing with stylistic eccentricities of one kind or another. Is that you now? Is that just this? Or is that something that's going to sort of typify your work? Which, again, I don't mind. Provided the talent, provided the champagne prose is there, I'm okay with any of these things. But they're not. A lot of them are not things I can learn in just the first book, which in itself is a relief and a joy. Because I can't see them done. In this book, I can't see this author fail his own level of talent. I can't see that happen until he writes something else. Curious to know what I hesitate to show. I'm sorry to show you this thing. It's just so unbelievably, parodiically ugly. But I hesitate. I wanted to know now. Short story collections usually come as part of a deal. You get a short story collection and a novel, short story collection and 2 novels, something like that. I'm now wondering if there's something fast-tracked for Jed Calder that'll be showing up by the end of the year or early next year. But this comes out in late July. So as curious as I am about it, I don't think I'll get to it right away. Maybe I will, though. Maybe I will. I feel a little headwind, or a little tailwind since I beat that deadline. So, but anyway, that's the mail. Just fiction. We have an author that I know and an author that nobody knows. We have a genre fiction, a contemporary cowboy novel, and we have a debut collection of literary fiction, literary short stories. So widely different, but we'll see. They could both be really good. But anyway, that's your mail for today, plus assorted rants. I will wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.